Somebody let me hold the number 2 pencil cause they test. Somebody let me hold the number 2 pencil cause they test.
The other issue is, I mean, you know as well as I, there are specialty areas within every area of military operations across Marine Corps MOS, various Army, Air Force, Space Force billets, Coast Guard, National Guard, and within the Navy. I mean, there are certain, I'm not going to say rarefied elites, but even among what might be those, not those groups, for example, you take a look at SEALs, special operations types, subbies, aviation types. And I'm not minimizing surface warfare at all, but I mean, it takes a lot to get sea wings. And every billet has its particular areas of specialization and engagement that require a profound skill set, knowledge set. You got to stay current. And everybody's looking to promote. And let's face it, in everybody's jacket, you have to have those particular set of skills that you've acquired and it checks in the block in your jacket, right? Sure. But what if we could identify those individuals who have certain predispositional traits, characteristics, and capabilities, and segue them into various communities where those assets, as well as some of those absences, play favorably to their relative verticality of promotion and success, not to mention their health, operational performance capability, and their enablement to do those jobs, what we refer to as the HOPE acronym. Health, H, operational protection, OP, and enablement to do the job you're billeted in, E, hope. So we see great neurocognitive hope in being able to engage these assessment and even interventional methods in those ways. So I think that there's something there, and what that then means. But there's also the question of who gets the goodies, who doesn't, what are the metrics, methods, and machinations for deciding who gets the goodies and who doesn't, and what happens when some individuals get the goodies and some individuals don't, and what happens to those individuals who get the goodies and they can't do that job anymore. So there's a lot of things going on there, point number one. Point number two, as regards these data, very often the provision of who gets the goodies in that decision is based upon the data. Well, what else are you going to do with those data? What are you going to use those data for? One of our big concerns is that those data can be used in ways that are both pecuniarily problematic as well as biosecurity problematic. Let me explain. If in fact I have, and let's just look at my area of specialization, my sandbox, because I can speak with at least experience, if not expertise. If I take a look at your neurodata, there's a whole bunch of neurodata there. I mean, some of it is very functional in terms of neurological functions, but others tend to have a little bit more expansive capability. Your cognitions, your emotions, your behaviors. It has, if you will, sort of psychodata implications as well as social data implications. The way you act, the way you may feel, sort of the broad listing and roster of your decisions and what that means in various situations. All of these things are accessible and retrievable, by the way, utilizing current methods of big data. And we can do these in ways that are both anonymizable as well as non-anonymizable, that are directly referential then to you. I mean, if I'm going to use this in ways that are going to be precise and personalized, I have to de-anonymize these data and make them referential to you in some way. And there are ways to do that, even with relative security, utilizing some of these big data engines. The one that comes to mind is a DARPA-based system called ATRA that was actually then taken over by Accreta by our folks at Georgetown at the Cyber Smart Center, which is now called Aves Terra. That system is called Aves Terra. And it's a very sophisticated big data system that is essentially a black box data. There's sort of no human contact that maintains that level of anonymization until de-anonymization is required or necessitated. But even there, the flippage of that proverbial switch, de-anonymize, personalized, identification aspects. Who's flipping that switch? Point number one. The issue reliant upon that is, what data do I have of you and what can I do with those data? Well, one thing I could do with those data is to create particular narratives and or to establish particular dispositions, predispositions, and biases in favor or not in favor of you or the way you are regarded and treated in and across a range of dimensions and domains within whatever is going to be your daily milieu. Work, home, out on the street, law enforcement, military, job, whatever, okay? The other issue is I can manipulate those data. And if I manipulate those data to the extent of relative minutia, which is certainly capable, in other words, not just your data, but your longitudinal data. I mean, literally, from the time that they held you upside down and slapped you on the butt. But more than that, I can get into your familial database. There's now an evidentiary record of the reality of whatever that data depicts. So if I want to demonstrate that there is a florid risk of profound psychiatric illness in your family, I could do that. If I want to put into your particular record that there have been evidences of transgressions of reality that might be indicative of your slipping into periodic psychosis, I could do that. So what you're going to come back and say is, no, that didn't happen. That's not real. But wait a minute. Now we're dealing with the fact that I'm calling you psychotic. So that's axiomatic to you see the problem? And not only are you saying, no, it isn't, I have evidentiary data that demonstrates that that is so. It's fake data.
Yeah.
It's like deep faking, but deep faking on a very, very different level. And I can change those data on a variety of scales, literally from the subcellular all the way to the social, from the individual to the international, from the personal to the political. I can put on your record that you've done certain things.
Yeah.
And it's there, and you may not even know it. Could affect your security clearances, could affect the way you're treated by law, could affect the way you're able to move internationally, levels of surveillance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Our adversaries could have
one step further. One step further.
Yeah.
If I have enough data about the structure and function that makes you you, that's a target-rich environment. Now I can use those data to develop, if you will, personalized precision pathologies. Crowded room, I know exactly what's going to hit your phenotype identically and stereospecifically. No one else is going to get affected. Why? Because I have your recipe for your secret sauce that indicates to me your vulnerabilities within a very, very defined set of ranges and parameters that essentially renders those things not only unperceptible, but not effective to anyone else, but only you.
Somebody let me hold the number 2 pills like a state test. Somebody let me hold the number 2 pills like a state test.